If you're over 50, I'm going to tell you something that might sound absurd. Everything you've believed your entire life about money, success, and happiness was wrong. No, that's not an exaggeration. You were conditioned to think small, to believe that what you see is all there is. But what if I told you your reality is nothing more than what you attract? And that even now, at 50, you can rebuild everything. Are you ready to question every belief that got you here? Everything in the universe vibrates. Nothing is stagnant. This isn't just a pretty phrase. It's a law of nature, as real as gravity. Yet, most people go through life without understanding this. And you know what's worse? They suffer the consequences of that ignorance. Maybe you're wondering, but what does this have to do with my life, my bills, the struggles I face every day? It has everything to do with it. Your entire life is determined by the frequency you choose, even without knowing you're choosing. Every thought, every emotion emits a vibration that attracts more of what's in harmony with it. If you're constantly worried about debt, feel anxiety every time you check your bank statement, mentally repeat, "I don't have money," then guess what? You're tuned into the frequency of lack, and that's what you keep attracting. I know this might sound harsh, but listen, the responsibility is yours. And that's the best news you could receive, because if the responsibility is yours, the power is too. I'm not talking about magic, I'm not talking about superstition, I'm talking about law, universal law. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "When I pay all my bills, I'll feel at peace"? Seems logical, doesn't it? But it's exactly the opposite. Peace doesn't come after the bills are paid. The bills being paid comes after peace. The vibration you sustain creates the results, not the other way around. That's the part nobody told you. When I discovered this, my life was never the same. I was broke, without prospects, uneducated. I worked for the fire department, earning almost nothing, and thought, this is it. This is what life has in store for me, until someone put a book called Think and Grow Rich in my hands. At that moment, I didn't know how, but I felt something different, a possibility. And I decided to change my frequency before anything changed around me. And guess what happened? Everything changed. Everything. It wasn't luck, it wasn't a miracle. It was a law working exactly as it works for anyone who applies it. Now pay attention. Changing your frequency isn't simply repeating positive affirmations. Saying, "I am rich," while you're terrified of your credit card bill inside won't work. It's not the words you speak that command the vibration, but the emotion you feel. So the question is, how do you change that emotion? I'll give you a simple but powerful exercise. The next time you receive a bill, instead of reacting with fear or anger, take a deep breath. Hold it for a few seconds and release it slowly. Then, give thanks. Be grateful, because if that bill exists, it means you had access to something: light, water, internet, food. That's abundance. Then affirm, "I have the power to attract more than I need. Money flows to me easily." At first, it may seem strange. It may even seem like a lie. But if you repeat it with intention, if you put emotion into it, your body will begin to vibrate differently. And when that happens, everything around you begins to change. Want proof? Do this for 7 days. Just 7 days. Every time you feel fear when dealing with money, exchange fear for gratitude and that phrase. I challenge you to do this, and then tell me if anything changed. Because it will change. Your frequency is your magnet. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. You attract what you feel. Now think with me, how many things in your life have you attracted without realizing it? How many situations you would call coincidence happened exactly after you became obsessed with an idea? How many times have you thought so much about something, good or bad, and suddenly it happened? That wasn't chance, it was law. That's how the universe works, and it will continue to work, whether you believe it or not. And here's the great truth: if everything in the universe vibrates, including you, then you can choose your frequency. And from the moment you consciously choose, your life ceases to be an accident and becomes a project you build every day with what you think, feel, and imagine. So I ask you, what frequency will you choose now? Will you continue tuned into fear, lack, anxiety? Or will you decide today, at this very moment, to change your vibration and attract the life you've always wanted? Because the choice is yours. And if you make that choice, the entire universe conspires for you to win. The paradigm is the invisible prison that keeps most people stuck in the same place their whole lives. And believe me, you've lived in it without realizing it. You know why? Because nobody ever told you that this prison exists. From a young age, you learn to follow a pattern. Study, work, be prudent, don't take risks, be content with what you have. And you repeated this for decades. At 50, you look back and ask yourself, why does it seem like I worked so hard and still haven't achieved what I wanted? The answer isn't a lack of effort. It's not a lack of luck. It's programming. From the moment you were born, your mind began receiving commands. What you could and couldn't do, what was safe or dangerous, what was possible or impossible. This formed a paradigm, a set of beliefs so ingrained that you don't even question them anymore. It's this paradigm that controls how you think about money, about success, about who you believe you are. Now let me ask you, how many opportunities have you let slip by because you thought this is too risky? How many times has someone presented you with an idea and you replied, it's not for me, I'm too old for that? That's the paradigm speaking, not you. It creates the illusion of security, but that security is what keeps you trapped. Want a real-life example I witnessed? A couple in their 50s, tired of working for others. He had experience in security supply companies, but never had the courage to start his own business. When the chance to buy a small company arose, fear struck. What if it goes wrong? What if we lose everything? That was their programming speaking, but for the first time, they decided to ignore that voice and trust in something bigger, the vision of what they really wanted. They mortgaged their house, borrowed money, and dove in headfirst. Where are they today? Millionaires. Why? Because they broke the paradigm. They decided that fear would no longer control their lives. And I tell you, it doesn't matter if you're 50, 60, or 70 years old, you still have a paradigm that can be changed. And when you change the paradigm, everything changes. Your income, your relationships, your health, the way you see life. I experienced this firsthand. When I started, I had a mind completely programmed to fail. I believed that without education, without connections, without luck, I would never be anyone. And I had proof of this. I was broke, without a future, cleaning offices to survive. But everything started to change when I understood that the problem wasn't the world outside. It was the program running inside me. Now pay attention to what I'm going to tell you. The paradigm isn't rational. It's no use understanding intellectually that you need to change. It lives in the subconscious, in the emotional realm, and that's what makes you act without thinking. That's why you know you should save, but you spend. You know you should invest, but you're afraid. You know you deserve more, but you accept less. That's the power of the paradigm. So how do you change this? I'll give you a simple but extremely powerful step. From today, identify a negative phrase that you always repeat. Maybe it's, I can't buy this, it never works out for me, or I'm too old to start over. Write that phrase on a piece of paper. Now write the opposite phrase next to it, the positive and powerful version, as if it were already true. Example, money never lasts becomes, money flows to me easily and abundantly. And read this aloud every single day, at least 30 times. I'm not saying to repeat it mechanically. Feel each word. Imagine that it's already real. Why? Because when you impress the subconscious with emotion, you reprogram the paradigm. And let me tell you something, when you start doing this, your mind will laugh at you. It will say, this is nonsense. Of course it will. It's the old programming trying to keep you in place. But if you persist, something magical and logical begins to happen. You will attract situations, ideas, people that match the new paradigm. Because in the end, the law of attraction only responds to this, to what you are, not to what you say you want. Now tell me, how many dreams did you let die because you believed the voice of fear? How many years have you wasted living on autopilot? How many times have you thought, it's too late now? The truth is, it's not too late. The only thing holding you back isn't age, it's the paradigm, and you have the power to break it. And when you break it, you'll look back and say, why didn't I do this sooner? So the choice is yours. Continue living trapped in a program you didn't even write, or take control now and rewrite your story. Because I guarantee you, the life you desire is waiting for the version of you who has the courage to change. Most people believe that the law of attraction works like magic. Just think positive and everything will happen. That's a dangerous lie, and perhaps why you tried it. Believed for a while and gave up because you didn't see results, right? And you know why? Because nobody told you the law of attraction doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. And vibration is emotion. Listen closely now, because this could change everything. It's not what you say that creates your reality, it's what you feel. I could give you hundreds of examples. How many people do you know who repeat positive affirmations daily, yet remain fearful, anxious, stuck in the same situations? Because deep down they haven't changed the feeling. The conscious mind says one thing, but the subconscious vibrates another. And the subconscious always wins, always. Let me give you a simple example. You say, I am rich, but feel that tightness in your chest when you see your credit card bill. Who's commanding your vibration? Fear. And the law of attraction doesn't understand words, it understands frequency. If your emotion is fear, you continue to attract more situations that confirm that fear. Seems unfair? It's not. It's just the law working, the same way gravity works, whether you believe it or not. Now think with me, why is it so hard to feel abundance when reality seems to scream scarcity? Because you've been trained to react to circumstances. From a young age, you learn to believe only what you see, hear, and touch. But the law of attraction isn't guided by what's on the outside, it's guided by what you hold within. Your external reality is just a delayed reflection of your internal vibration. Everything you experience today is a consequence of who you have been until now. Let me tell you something few people know. I made this mistake myself at the beginning. After I started studying this law, I repeated, I'm going to earn more money. I'm going to earn more money. But inside, I felt like a failure. And guess what? Nothing changed. It was only when I understood that I needed to feel as if I already had what I wanted that things started to happen. It wasn't overnight, but the results came, one after another, and never stopped. Now pay attention. Feeling as if you already have it doesn't mean pretending. It means activating in your body the emotion you would have if it were already real. That's how you change the frequency. Because emotion is energy in motion, and energy attracts like energy. Einstein put it brilliantly. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get it. He didn't say think positive. He said match the frequency. This is physics, not philosophy. So, how do you do this in practice? Let's go. Choose something you deeply desire. It could be paying off debts, buying that house, taking a dream trip. Now close your eyes and see yourself there. Don't just see it, feel it. What would it be like to wake up in that house? What would the smell of the coffee be like? What sound would you hear in the morning? Who would be with you? Add details, many details. The brain doesn't differentiate between what's real and what's imagined as long as there's emotion involved. Therefore, when you create this image with feeling, your body vibrates as if it were already true. And when that happens, the universe responds. You might be thinking, but that's just imagination. Exactly. And that's the secret. Everything that exists today was imagination before it became reality. That phone you're holding, that technology, that chair you're sitting in, it all started in someone's mind. First in the invisible, then in the visible. Why would it be different for you? Now I'll give you a challenge. Every day for the next 30 days, take 5 minutes to do this. 5 minutes. Close your eyes, enter the scene you desire, and live as if you were already there. Don't do it as a mechanical exercise. Do it as if it were true now. And when you're finished, carry that emotion throughout the day. Walk as if you own this new reality. Speak as if you were already living it. Because when you sustain this vibration, doors begin to open. People appear, ideas emerge, paths you couldn't see before begin to reveal themselves. This isn't coincidence, it's law. Now tell me, how long will you continue to live at the mercy of circumstances? How long will you let fear decide for you? If you understand what I'm saying, then today is the day to change, because the law of attraction is always working, whether you want it to or not. The only question is, will you continue to vibrate in lack, or will you start now to vibrate in the abundance you deserve? Everything you see, touch, hear seems so real, doesn't it? But let me tell you a truth that might shake everything you've believed until now. Your senses are deceiving you. What you call reality isn't everything, it's only the visible part. What truly creates your life is in the invisible, in what you think, feel, and imagine every day. You grew up believing that life is based on what can be measured. Money in the account, a diploma on the wall, accumulated material possessions. And that's why, when things don't go as you expected, you say, "This is reality. I need to be realistic." But who said that's the definitive reality? Who said that what you see is all that exists? Think with me. When you call someone, your cell phone signal travels through the air, invisibly, connecting you to another person in seconds. You don't see the waves, but they're there. You don't see the frequency, but it exists. The same thing happens with your thoughts. Every idea you hold in your mind is a frequency, and that frequency connects you to things, people, and circumstances that are in the same tune. Now here's a point that might bother you. Do you know why so many people give up on their dreams? Because they trust their senses too much. Because they look at their empty bank account and think it's not possible. Because they hear someone say, "That's impossible," and believe it. Because they touch a life full of limitations and think that's all there is going to be. And meanwhile, the possibility remains there, waiting for someone who dares to believe without needing to see it first. I know this isn't easy. I myself was trained that way. When I decided to change my life, everything around me screamed that it was impossible. I had no education, no money, no contacts. If I had looked at the evidence, I would have given up. But I chose to look at the invisible. I chose to believe in what I could only see with my imagination, and that's what changed everything. Now tell me, how many times have you dreamed of something, told someone, and heard the phrase, "Be realistic," and deep down, you believed it? How many dreams did you bury because you didn't know how to achieve them? The truth is, you don't need to know how. You never did. The only thing you need is to keep the image alive in your mind, because that image is a frequency. And when you sustain that frequency, life takes care of showing you the way. Want proof of this? Think about humanity's great advancements. The Wright brothers didn't know how they were going to put a plane in the air. They only knew they were going to. Edison didn't know exactly how he would invent the light bulb, but he didn't give up. Steve Jobs didn't know how to create a computer that would fit in the palm of your hand. They didn't have the answers, but they had something that almost nobody uses: the ability to believe in what cannot be seen. And here's the irony. When you were a child, you did this all the time. You dreamed without limits. You imagined the impossible. And do you know what happened? Someone taught you to stop. Someone told you, grow up, be realistic, and you believed it. And today, at 50, you may think it's too late to start dreaming again. But let me ask you, who said it's too late? It's not too late. It's just the old programming trying to hold you back. So, I want to give you an exercise now, simple but powerful. Choose a goal that seems impossible, the one that gives you butterflies just thinking about it. Now take a piece of paper and write it as if it has already happened. I am living in this house. I am traveling the world. I have financial freedom. Don't write in the future. Write in the present. And carry that paper with you. Read it every day. Why? Because when you read and feel, you begin to create the image in your subconscious. And that image is the mold for your new reality. Remember, everything is created twice. First in the mind, then in the physical world. And if you don't create consciously, you'll keep repeating what already exists. So tell me, do you want to continue being a slave to what you see, or do you want to start living as the creator of what you desire? The choice is yours. But when you decide to stop believing only in what your eyes show you, everything will change. Now look closely at this. The life you want already exists. It's just on a different frequency, and you can change to it at any time. But to do so, you need to do something that most people don't have the courage to do. Believe without seeing. Because when you believe, the world outside begins to bow to the image you carry within. You were born with powerful tools that could completely change your life, but you may never have learned to use them. I'm talking about the mental faculties that differentiate you from any other living being. Imagination, intuition, will, memory, perception, and reason. These are the keys to transforming any reality. But here's the hard truth. Most people spend their entire lives without even realizing they have this power, because they were trained to live by what they see, by what they hear, by what their senses capture. Now, let me ask you something that might bother you. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I can't," without even trying to imagine what it would be like if you could? How many times have you wanted something but gave up before you even started because you didn't know how to do it? This is where the first of these faculties comes in, imagination. It's the starting point of everything. If you can't imagine it, you can't create it. Everything, absolutely everything, is created twice. First in the mind, then in the physical world. That chair you're sitting on started in someone's imagination. The phone you're using, the house you live in, everything existed in the invisible before it existed in the visible. Now think about this. If everything starts in the mind, why aren't you creating the life you desire? Because you might be using your imagination against yourself. When you dwell on debts, when you imagine problems, when you project fear, you're using the very tool that could set you free, but in a negative way. That's why, even unintentionally, you attract more of what you don't want. Let me give you a real-world example that proves how imagination, when used correctly, changes everything. Steve Jobs, before creating the iPhone, didn't know how he was going to do it. He didn't have a manual with all the answers, but he had a vision. He could see in his mind a device that didn't exist in the physical world. He held onto that vision until he found the people, the resources, the ideas to make it real. This isn't coincidence. It's a law. When you hold an image with intensity, you begin to attract everything necessary to realize it. But it doesn't stop there. You need willpower, not willpower in the common sense, but in the sense of focus. Willpower is the faculty that allows you to concentrate all your energy on a vision without being distracted by what's happening around you. Do you know why so many people give up? Because they lack this ability. They start imagining something, but then they look at reality and let the vision die. If you do that, you'll never move forward. Willpower is like a laser beam. It keeps your mind fixed on the goal until the universe begins to respond. And here comes another essential piece: intuition. This faculty is the bridge between you and the answers you seek. Has it ever happened to you that you thought of someone and seconds later that person called? That's not chance, it's intuition. When you work with a strong image in your mind, intuition starts bringing ideas, insights, opportunities. But what's the problem? Most people ignore this because they've been trained to trust only logic. But logic doesn't create anything new, it only organizes what already exists. If you want a different life, you need to trust this invisible power. Now, let me debunk another myth. Age has nothing to do with this. At 50, 60, or 70 years old, you still have these faculties intact. They don't rust, they just become dormant. And from the moment you start using them, your life takes a leap. I myself started applying them when I had nothing, and they took me to places I could never have reached by relying solely on physical effort. So, I want to propose a challenge to you now. For the next 30 days, every day, close your eyes for 5 minutes and mentally construct the life you desire in rich detail. Don't be generic. If you want a new house, imagine the colors of the walls, the smell of the environment, the texture of the sofa, the sounds you'd hear in the morning. If you want financial freedom, imagine the feeling of looking at your bank account and seeing abundance. Feel as if it were already real. And here's the secret: don't leave that scene without feeling emotion, because it's the emotion that connects the image to the subconscious. And it's the subconscious that determines the vibration you'll emit. Now tell me, why continue living by reacting to circumstances when you can start creating your own reality? Don't accept the idea that things are this way. They aren't. They are this way because you haven't yet decided to use the tools you have. And when you do decide, you'll discover something that may sound strange now. The world outside begins to change. Not because it changed, but because you changed the frequency. So the question is, will you continue using your imagination to reinforce problems, or will you use it to create possibilities? Because that choice defines everything. Everything that separates you from the life you desire isn't a lack of money. It's not a lack of luck, it's not age, it's ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I'm not saying you're incapable, I'm saying you didn't know. You didn't know how the laws of the universe work. You didn't know how your mind truly creates reality. You didn't know that there's a power within you that can change absolutely everything. And believe me, that's the only real obstacle, not knowing. Now think with me. How many times have you looked at someone successful and thought, they must have been lucky, or they had opportunities I never had? But listen carefully, it's not luck, it's law, and law doesn't fail. Gravity doesn't stop working because you don't believe in it. The same thing happens with the law of attraction. It's operating now, at this very moment, whether you want it to or not, whether you know it or not. The difference is that until now, it has been working against you because you didn't understand how to use it in your favor. I'll tell you something personal. Today, at 82 years old, I have more energy than many people at 22. Not because I'm different, but because I never stopped learning, never stopped imagining, never accepted the idea that it's too late. And that's why I'm here telling you, you still can. It doesn't matter where you are now. It doesn't matter what you've done or haven't done. The only thing you need is to decide that you're going to change, because when you decide, the entire universe conspires to make it a reality. So I ask you, will you continue living trapped in ignorance, or will you use the power that has always been within you? Because in the end, there's only one limit to your life, the one you place in your mind. Let me show you something you may never have realized. The most important point of all this is that your future doesn't depend on what has happened so far, but on what you choose to think, feel, and do from this very moment. Every small shift in thought, every adjustment in your emotion, and every action you take consistently is shaping your life in ways you can't even imagine yet. And as you reflect on this, see that on the screen in front of you is the next video. It will take another step in your evolution of wisdom, helping you become 1% better than you are now. I guarantee you, this next step will transform the way you look at your choices and your opportunities. Thank you for joining me here, and I'll see you there in the next video.